See, I'm supposed to be in the red dot, right, in the middle. Some years ago, I was interviewing a chief HR officer of a group. The gentleman was good. He was good as anybody can be. I turned right, he was extremely good. I turned left, he was even better. But I had this burning question I didn't dare to ask him before I was sure he was the man we wanted to hire. And then I threw in the question. I didn't see in your CV any education. Is that an omission, or is it that you didn't do any education? He took a serious note. He stepped back, and in a very calm noise, he told me, you know, Mr. Slim, I went to the best school of all, the school of life, the school of hard knocks. That question threw me back. With my 17 years of university, how could I trust a person that didn't do any schooling to hire my top executives of a group that was expected to move from a couple of $1 million to $1 billion? How could this gentleman be able to appreciate the skills of those people? Well, then I stepped back and thought, who taught me first to speak? Who taught me how to walk? Who taught me how to think? Who taught you how to speak, walk, and think? Our mother, aren't they? Then I thought back again, who taught me how to love and be loved? Who taught me how to feel as I want others to feel about me? Who taught me those difficult things? Who taught me how to overcome those difficult things? Well, it's probably the people I met. The people that loved me and the people who hated me. The people that pushed me forward and the people who worked hard to block me in the past. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't learn them in school. I didn't learn them in my 17 years of university. I probably learned them more in the school of life, the school where we get knocked hard and then we stand up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the school where we learn most of the things we do. Well, as difficult as it is for a professor to admit it, well, we stop learning, for me, when we start schooling. Why? Because we start putting ourselves into frames, into models. And mea culpa for that, amongst others, with my colleagues, professors. We tend to put math as the only solution. We tend to put black and white as the only two options. Life, ladies and gentlemen, is not black and white. Life is all shades of gray. And by the way, I learned it the hard way in the school of life. 1991, my first job application ever with a big company, I wouldn't name. I received that brilliant, polite rejection letter that was saying, Mr. Slim, you're not good enough as you are. Come back in 2 years. And arrogant as I was, I sent them a fax at that time, somebody remembers, saying that I was good enough and I will never apply again to this company. They never accepted to interview me again, for your information. Now, what was wrong in that interview? I'm a trained mathematician, and I knew only how to solve problems. I knew only that an equation would have a solution. I knew only that actually 1 + 1 can only make 2. Well, that's not true, ladies and gentlemen. In life, most of the problems we have a solution of maybe, or it depends. And those, I honestly didn't know them. Well, after reflecting back, after crying, of course, I cried for the first rejection, of course. Then I reflect back, and that changed my life. I started exploring other areas. I started exploring the areas of people. I started exploring actually how to deal with people, not machines only. I started working on understanding that gray area where emotions enters, which bring irrational. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody knows the future, do we? So why would we only believe the forecast systems, by the way, that give you 60% of accuracy at best? Would you go to a doctor that would have said, I killed 6 people, so you're safe now? Or I killed 4 people, you're the 5th one, so you're safe? Well, life, ladies and gentlemen, gives us those type of situations where actually nothing is frozen, nothing is in a frame, nothing is as precise as we would think it. Now, let me give you the good news about that. The good news about that is that the grading system, the traditional grading system which we all follow, the A, B, C, D, and hopefully not F, doesn't apply in that. There is another grading system in this school, the School of Life. And it stands in life. 4 letters. Let's start with the L. In the School of Life, nobody teaches us, but we learn. L for learning. And unless we continue learning, that's where we're doomed to stop living. In the School of Life, there is no teacher, but us. So the I stands for inner. Because in the School of Life, you are the one who appreciates the failures to learn from them. And you're the one who appreciates the successes to build on them. In the School of Life, the 3rd letter is F, for forces. In the School of Life, we either find the forces to advance or we get stuck in the past. We either find the force to advance or the other F will reach us, fail. Now, in the School of Life, the E stands for evolution. Because as in a bicycle, if you stop moving, you will most probably fail. So in the School of Life, you need to learn what are the inner forces that can drive you forward for evolution and for excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, in the School of Life, we don't learn art because we want to rationalize what is irrational. Art is coming from the right side of our brain. It's not meant to be structured. Science as well is not about the art of the answer. Science is about the art of questions. We unfortunately, my fellow colleagues, we unfortunately give too many answers instead of helping the students ask questions. We actually, some of us, will be irritated by those questions. That's the only way and path for learning. That's what differentiates us humans from machines. We asked. And when we ask, we start doubting. When we doubt, we look for the truth. And when we look for the truth, this is where we start learning. Ladies and gentlemen, life is a school where actually you're not competing with any other else. You're competing with yourself. You're competing with what some call fate, but really you're competing with what you make of the fate. Now, I'm sure that you all are questioning, I started by talking of this gentleman. For your information, his name is Hamadi, whether I hired him or not. Who thinks I hired him? Well, let me tell you, honestly, I was not courageous enough. As we go through life, we mature, but unfortunately we get stiffer. And we get some norms that prevent us from really daring to dare. I didn't dare hiring him, but don't worry, I brought a friend to validate the choice. And I told him, don't look at his education, please interview the gentleman. When I got the right opinion, the good opinion, positive opinion, we hired him. We hired a gentleman, and Hamadi went on to be the best hiree I've ever met, the best HR person I've ever met in my life. He became the reference in HR in all the Mediterranean. Now he went on schooling. He did a bachelor, an MBA from a top school, and he was part of the International Association of HR Professionals. And just before I came here, I took the phone and called Hamadi and asked him, Hamadi, which school do you think is the best? I think he stepped back. He took a very serious tone and told me, Mr. Slim, you know, the best school of all is still that same school, the school of life, the school of hard knocks. Thank you.